scoring system, an algorithm for people without a FICO score or who have low FICO for unfair reasons. We're currently testing our service with Eastern Motors, the car company. What I think is more relevant to you is Rockville Housing Enterprises. So the City of Rockville, their housing authority, they're using us as part of their application process. They pull applicants off the wait list. And they say, go to our site, sharedlending.com, to get a core score completely free. And part of my pitch to you is if you're interested in testing this out with your tenants, this will be completely free, very much in the testing phase. And get the score. We don't ask any controversial questions. We do ask, are you a veteran? Have you ever missed a cell phone payment? How often do you wake before 6 a.m.? 37 questions like that. Grounded in finance, but we care about productivity and resilience. I'm a landlord myself, so part of the motivation was finding good tenants. That's where we came up with it. I don't want to take up too much time.
Thank you. That's a good introduction.
Thank you.
So the reason why I asked Dilip here is because, again, he is a landlord himself. He actually created an IT company to help find an alternative to the FICO score. Because everybody knows just because somebody may have a good FICO score doesn't necessarily mean that they are a good tenant. And vice versa. Just because someone may not necessarily have a good FICO score at this present time doesn't mean that they're not a good tenant. It could be several things. It could have been bankruptcy. It could have been a bunch of other things, but they've actually changed around. So let me also say that I am not a property manager, okay? So I'm not doing this presentation in order to get your property management business. Is that okay? I came to DC Housing Providers Association through Russ Brown, which many of you already know. He called me up. We've been in communication for about 8 years or so. And he said, Jonathan, if possible, you could go over and help us out. And that's the reason why I'm here. So I'm here in a given capacity. And I want to share with you information that I know that a lot of real estate agents out there have that you may not have to help implement into your business. Because you managing your property, or if you're getting someone else, like a real estate agent or a property management firm to manage your properties, it is your business. Does that make sense? Okay, do me a favor, smile and show all 32 or 2, whichever it may be. And look at somebody next to them and say, good to see you. I get you, y'all ain't doing it. Just smile and show all 32 or 2, whichever it may be. And look at somebody and say, it's good to see you. Okay, y'all really, okay, it's all right, it's good. So I wanted a couple of things that I wanted to share. We actually put together a DCHPA survey. The purpose of the survey is to understand what it is that you're looking to do next year. There are things that we want to do to improve our image, to improve the capacity of what we're able to deliver to you. And so this survey is going to be really important to get done, to understand exactly what we can do. So please make sure you do that. Try to hold all your questions to the end. I have 2 presentations, both about 1.5 hours long, that I'm trying to do in less than an hour. So I'm going to try my best to give you as much as I can. I will stop. I probably will only get through one of the presentations. Number 3, we do have printouts. I'll give them to you at the end. Why? Because studies have shown if I give you the printouts, you'll be looking at the printouts and not understanding what's going on in the presentation. Does that make sense? But at the right time, I will give them to you because I want us to have a discussion and talk through them so that you understand we can just share things. Number 4, we are recording this. Thank you very much, Ms. Carissa. She's forced me to record this, and we're putting it on YouTube just like we did the other video. How many people actually saw the other video that we sent out already? Okay, we got a couple people. There was a video about renewing your leases with the housing authority. Again, I'm not a property manager, but my broker is. And let's leave at 7 o'clock and network outside, because I'm pretty sure there may be some opportunities to do that. So I'm going to start with a quote. Opportunity is missed by most people because it is dressed up in overall and looks like work. If you are doing property management, you understand it looks like work. And I've heard a lot of the frustration of most of the people that are in here, and I want to see if I can help provide some help. So my goal is to provide an overview, help you avoid pitfalls, get you informed on property management, and help you make sound decisions regarding property management. Again, if you've been doing property management for 15, 20 years, I hope that there's at least one thing that you might be able to add to your process, or to reiterate something that you probably should add to your process as we go through this. Number 1, again, anytime you see CIAS, that's me. I'm a certified investor agent specialist. I use the presentation that I gave nationally to give here to you so that you would have the information, but you can ignore that because I'm going to give you the details directly. So I'm bypassing going through the agent, going right to you. It says be cautious about providing free service. That's something that oftentimes we get asked to do. The big thing is we need to make sure that you have a team, and that if you're working with an agent or if you're by yourself, that you have a team and really look at them as a team. Even if it's one person, there may be additional people that you probably have not considered to be a part of your team. So an attorney can help you get lease documentation together. You want to probably try to find an attorney who already has property themselves. You'd be surprised how people just go out and get an attorney because it's their cousin, whatever, and to draft up documentation, you want to talk to somebody who already has property. A handyman for minor repairs. The difference between a handyman and a contractor is what? Anybody can tell me?
Major, minor.
Major, minor, anything else? A license? Generally a license. A handyman can probably help you change the locks, but a contractor will help you do the repairs. An insurance agent, an accountant for bookkeeping, and of course a cleaning service. These are people that should be a part of your team. There are actually 14 different people that you should probably have a part of your team. If you don't know who those 14 people are, you don't already have them, you can talk to me afterwards. I can send you a list. We'll tell you all 14 people, and you can have a little a document that will help you to put down who those people are. So let's look at investor management. Well, there's some critical forms that we've talked about before that some people don't have or implement into their business in terms of property management. I have created a website for each one of you. Let me go back. I have created a website on my website, or a page just for you that has all this information. So if you're writing notes and you miss something, don't worry about it. I've also have all of these forms out there for you to be able to download if you would want them. So let's talk about each one of the forms a little bit, and then I'm going to talk about in my presentation each one of the forms individually. The first one is the property preparation form. Before you're actually going to go out and actually rent the property, you need to have some sort of a process whereby you go through and say, instead of saying, oh, that looks good enough. No, you need to go through a step-by-step. Have I changed the locks? Have I cleaned this? Have I done this, that, the other? It's a 4-page checklist, and that's also inside the set of documents. The next is the property walkthrough form. How many people actually walk through their property with the tenant when they move in? Okay, most people do. Now, do you document everything as you're walking through that? Do you already have a form for that? Excellent. How many people take pictures for that? Okay, excellent. And then do you take those pictures and then put them on a CD and send the CD or send them in Dropbox or something like that as a link? So that they have documentation of what was there and they sign off on it. Do you have anything like that?
No.
Okay. At the end of this form, what we've done, and you'll see it, it has 2 columns. The first column is when I walked through the first time, here is the property, as we saw, the problems with the property or the condition of the property. When you're ready to move out or move on, I send you back that same form, and on the other side is, now here's the checkout version. We go through the same property. Because if there's a spot in the corner, spots don't grow. You get what I'm saying? So you know exactly what that was and document it. And that's in that form. Also the property photo log we just talked about. The CIS lease addendum, that is something that we will talk about today. That's one of the documents I'll make sure that you have so that we can talk through that. The property information flyer, I've got an alternative to that. Because there's a way that you can actually advertise your property that's out, that's free. I'm not sure that some of you know it, some of you already may. And then finally, the investor rental policies form. It will help you not to violate Fair Housing Act and the Fair Housing Act of 1964 if you have the same policies for renting to one person that you do. Does that make sense? Does anybody not understand fair housing law? Does anybody? Okay, so we're good. So the fair housing laws protect people against discrimination. So if you ask, say, a woman who comes in, oh, hey, how you doing? You want me to give you a cup of coffee? Everything's okay? And then she comes in, you go ahead and service her, and then a young man comes in. If you don't do the same thing that you did with the young lady, you could be in violation of fair housing laws, okay? You want to make sure you treat everybody the same. You want to make sure you screen everybody the same. This form will help you to do that. Okay, so to protect the investor, that's you. You must be consistent because what? We do not want to make sure that we're violating fair housing laws, and that's what Form J is that we'll talk about. All right, next is, again, to the real estate agents, but I want to share with you. Do not provide too much legwork or advice. The reason being is that a lot of times investors ask us agents to do everything for nothing. And so this was a guard against that. But I want to make sure that you're getting free information today, again, because I'm here to provide. Next is to provide leases from your state. So if you're using a lease from, say, DC, or if you're using a lease from the Maryland Association of Realtors, and you are not a licensed realtor, then that really is a violation of our lease, okay? Hey, Brian, how's it going? That's another one of my investor friends there in the back. That's Brian Dubin from Blue Water Funding. He's a hard money lender. If some of you are investors, savvy investors, you understand what that means. Number 3, advertise the property for the client on the MLS. The reason being is that agents should not be advertising for you on the multiple listing service if you do not have a listing agreement with us. Why? Because if you violate a fair housing law or something of that sort, we are liable for that. Okay? So then there must be an agreement before we agents are supposed to put that property on the multiple listing service. But I have another way for you to advertise. We don't have to use an agent. I know I'm an agent saying that, but oh well. The next, you want to make sure that you have a good property management company. How many people actually are using property management companies now? Okay, we have one person. Why did you decide to use a property management company?
They're remote.
They're remote.
From where I am now.
Gotcha. And it's for your remote properties, but
Yes.
you manage the properties that you have here?
Yes.
Okay, got it. So some people may say, I don't want to use a property management company. Why? Why would people not want to use a property management company? You got to pay for it. What is generally what you got to pay? Anybody know what the percentages are?
Is it 10 or 15%?
Yeah, anywhere from 7 to 15% depending on where you are. Again, relationship helps you to get that percentage down. However, property management company could be good and could be a strategic member of your team. Why? Because they can, a property manager, if you're going to use one, let's talk about why. If you're going to use one, make sure you check their references. You want to look at other investors, other people who have used that particular property management company to make sure that they are actually doing what you're doing. And the best way that you can do that is go to real estate investment associations. Have anybody heard of those? RIAs? Yes, I had some people nodding their head. But there are these things called real estate investment associations where a bunch of investors who are either looking to do fix and flips or looking to do wholesaling or looking to do exactly what you're doing as a landlord, they come together for the explicit purpose of knowing more and more about how to invest in real estate. They also are a wealth of knowledge in terms of the people that they use in order to do their business. Property management companies are often a part of that. You also want to check, make sure that they're licensed. Again, liability. Verify that they're licensed and things of that sort. Again, make sure that you are using someone who can give you a referral fee, especially if you have a bunch of units that you have. You know, instead of you paying 10% for every unit that you may have, you might pay 10% for the first one, and then it kind of goes down from there. Have you been able to negotiate your fee?
No, not really.
Not really?
No.
Okay. There are some people I know that actually get referral fees if they refer other clients to that particular property management company, and they're able to then also reduce their management fee. Anywhere from 8 to 10% of the gross monthly rent is what you can look for a property management fee. But then also you want to make sure you avoid those property management companies that do a lot of a la carte fees. If they have to pick up the phone and call, if they have to send somebody out to the unit, if they have to do all these other things, they kind of charge you. And that's kind of how the stuff gets out of hand. You want a property management company, if you're interested in that, who's going to just charge you a flat fee of anywhere from 8 to 10% of your gross monthly rent. Now, again, as I mentioned, as a CIS instructor, one of the things that we did with the Sharpen Institute is we went out and looked at all the property management companies that were out there and all the systems and things of that sort. That's another thing that property management companies have, is they have a system, okay, where all of that stuff, you know, if they don't send the rent payment on the 5th or by the 5th, they go forward and start, you know, putting stuff into the court system and actually enforcing the lease. So the Real Property Management is a national organization, a national franchise that we found was actually a very good fit for property management. So if you're looking for a property manager, you may want to go talk to them. There is one here in the DC metro area. So if you're going to be managing the property yourself, you want to make sure that you investigate all the laws that are necessary. For us as real estate agents, there is actually a liability that's placed on us if we start doing property management. And a lot of firms, what they will do, if you are a real estate agent, is they will require you to start your own LLC or your own incorporation that's the property management entity that's not connected to the particular brokerage. So that's just something for you to know about. You want to make sure that whoever the property management company that you're dealing with is licensed. So I talked about preparing for the lease. Okay, before you lease, the property inspection checklist, again, that's in the forms on the webpage that you'll get at the end of the presentation. You want to review all important issues with the property. Some issues may not arise in the purchase inspection. So how many people actually have a new property they purchased that they're just starting to rent out right now? No? Everybody has had theirs for a while. Okay. But also the property preparation checklist can ensure protection for property and the tenants. So once you've turned that unit over, somebody has moved out and somebody else has moved in, that property preparation checklist is there for you, again, to verify that everything is done before that new tenant moves in. Okay? And so here is a picture of what that looks like. It's a 4-page document. Everything is on there for the major systems. The next, how many people actually change the locks every time somebody moves out? Okay? Excellent, excellent. In some municipalities around the country, we've seen that people have actually gotten in trouble with this. Where they didn't change the locks, some people say they don't change the locks because people don't come back. But if somebody has a key, they can always come back. So please make sure that you're changing your locks. Most of you all are doing this, so I'm preaching to the choir here. Leasing to tenants. So you want to talk about advertising, signage, and follow-up. Some of the first things that we talked about before in terms of figuring out what market rates would be. I know everybody in this room, we're not looking at market rates because we've decided to go forward with the housing voucher program. But then there's some people who have decided that they're going to actually move out of that and then rent their property out in market rent. Or they're actually purchasing other properties. How can you determine what market rents are? You can always talk to a realtor. Maybe me. Maybe I can help you out with that. We've already shared Rento Meter. You can also go out to Craigslist, Zillow, and Apartments.com. Those are the good places for you to find out what the market rents will be. Well, then how do you find tenants? You want to make sure that you have signage out there that says for rent. When you're putting your properties out there for rent, how are you doing that? How many people are using real estate agents to put their properties on the market? Okay. How many people are putting it on the market? I got one person. You're putting. Okay. And what was your experience with that? Did you enjoy that or? It was okay. Most people are doing it by themselves, yes? What are we doing to put it on the market? What services are you using or how are you doing that?
The sign, Section 8,
Social serve.
Okay, you say, so Section 8 signs, social serve?
Yeah.
Okay.
DC.
Anything else?
Internet and Washington Post.
Internet and the Washington Post. Do you do the Washington Post online or you do the physical document?
If you pay for it, if you pay for the actual print, they give you the digital for free.
Gotcha. Yes, ma'am. You had something? Craigslist. You put yours on Craigslist. Excellent. Is there a service that you use or you just go directly to Craigslist?
just go directly to Craigslist.
Gotcha. I've got something for you all that might be able to help you out a little bit more. How many people actually put a property information box outside with kind of the information about the rental? No? Here's something that I've learned that has worked for some people. There's this Form J that I'm going to provide to you all in a couple of seconds. What they do is in Form J, it kind of tells them what the criteria is. So in addition to the front of the document saying, okay, this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house or rental, and this is what the rent is, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. On the back of the document, what they've done is they said, you must have a credit score of blah, 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 blah. This is a no smoking, blah, 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 blah. Here is the pet fee, et cetera, so that people, when they call, they can already kind of self-qualify themselves. So that may be something else that you may want to add if you already don't have that. Showing the rental. Make sure that the rental is clean. How many people actually hire a service to clean your rentals? Got a couple people. How many people do it themselves or get somebody else to do it? Okay. So why do you do it yourself? Or you mean just a question?
I did mine. I had someone help me because I wanted to know that it was done a certain way.
It was done a certain way. Anybody else?
It costs to save money.
Save money. How much does it normally cost for a service to actually clean, let's say, yes?
Go ahead, to clean.
To clean like a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. Is that what you have, a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom?
4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, between $200 and
between $200 and $300.
Angie's list.
Angie's List, okay. And then why did you use them instead of doing it yourself? Because this young lady said she did it because she wanted to make sure it was done a certain way.
I don't have time.
They don't have time. Okay, excellent. So again, everybody has a different way of being able to do it, whether that means that they're going to do it themselves or get somebody else to do it. But recognize that a cleaning crew could be a part of your team. Why? Right now, it might be okay for you to do it by yourself, but as you continue to stack up rental properties over time, you may not have the time to be able to go and clean all of those. You may need to have a cleaning service. Rental documents, always be prepared. How many people have your own leases or your own leases drawn up by you? Okay, so when you go out to show a property, do you go out with your lease documents just in case somebody's interested? Or do you always, is it a two-step process? Does anybody use, huh?
You have to sign an application agreement.
The application.
Have an application, then they pay for, like I'd have to do a background check and all that other stuff. They don't get to the lease situation, so after I get some data.
Gotcha. So then in terms of, do they give you the money right then and there on the spot?
No, everything's done electronically for us.
Okay.
It's basically, we put our advertisement. If they respond to it, we have a checklist. Let's say we have an empty rental unit. We have a checklist at the location. They sign up for it. If they're interested, they fill out an application on the spot. And then once they leave, they can go online. They can either give me the application in my hand, or they can resubmit the application online and pay their application online.
So even if they give it to you there, there's still a facility for them to pay their application fee online?
Yeah, on our website.
Got it, got it. Somebody else? Yes, ma'am.
Well, I use a service to like run their credit, so I'll do the application, collect the fee, then turn it over, get the credit run, get that information back, and then do a lease.
Okay. Does everybody have the utilities turned on? Is this one of those foregone conclusions when somebody goes in and looks at a property?
You have to have the utilities turned on.
Okay. Just want to make sure, because some people in some places that we've gone, they don't have the utilities on. What about the temperature? Is it comfortable in there when you go inside? Again, in some places that we've done this, in like Florida or in Arizona, you'd be surprised that it is like 100 and some odd degrees. And then curb appeal. How many people actually spend time and money in the landscaping?
No.
Right?
No.
You don't?
No.
Why?
Because it's pointless.
It's pointless.
Yes.
Why?
Because you can spend thousands of dollars, and that couple months is not going to do nothing but look like it was if it was vacant.
Okay. So somebody else said they do spend a little bit of money, yes?
I spent a little bit of money to have it done, but then afterward, like he said, it got messed up.
It got messed up.
So you're talking about investments. That's a terrible investment to make.
Okay.
It depends.
So,
I would say it depends on your population. I'll put it like that.
understood.
I was gonna say that. Also, does it count if you cut your grass?
There you go. Yeah, it does. And in some places that we've been, they actually go out and paint the lawn green because it's already, they paint it green. Because it's so dry, it's so hot, so humid that everything is there is all brown. They just go back and paint it green as long as it looks good. So, so Fair Housing Act of 1968, I said 64, so I was off by 4. Again, make sure that you're complying with all of those laws and things of that sort. Now, there's a way that you can kind of help do that. How many people have actually used postlets.com? Okay, I got one person. So, postlets.com is a free service. It is a free service. And what it will do, and there's the power in my opinion, is it has syndication, listing syndication. So most people right now are familiar with Zillow, Trulia, MSN, Craigslist, etc., right? So in Postlets, what you can do is you can actually create a profile that will then allow you to be able to share that house that or that apartment that you have for rent, and you can put it on Craigslist. With a click of a button, it will give you the code that you can just go to Craigslist, and it makes this nice little colorful thing with all the pictures and all that stuff for you. It would also make sure that it gets put on Zillow and Trulia and a bunch of other sites that are there as well where people are looking. Okay, listing syndication. For us realtors, that's one thing that has happened, especially for our real estate association in this area, is that Realtor.com goes to all of the local MLSs, pulls that information, and then broadcasts them out to these same places. So instead of using a real estate agent, because most people are looking for their stuff online. Does everybody agree? Got it. So you can use postlets as a way of being able to now market your properties and make sure that you are advertising correctly. Tenant screening, and that's the reason why I had Delete here as well. Delete is looking to, as we would say in the technology world, this company is going to be massively disruptive. This is Delete, wave your hand for those who didn't see. Delete is the owner and the creator of sharedlending.com. He gave a little spiel before for those of you who were a little late. Delete and I were introduced through some other networking that I have done in the past. And what has happened is that Fannie Mae, correct me if I'm wrong about this, Fannie Mae has gone online to say that they're actually looking for an alternative to the FICO score.
Freddie Mac. Actually.
Freddie Mac, thank you. I'd say it was Fannie, it was Freddie Mac. But it's the same thing, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. We both own them, the U.S. government or the U.S. people. But nonetheless, what that means is if you have a large organization like Freddie Mac looking for an alternative to FICO, that means that there's opportunity out there for other organizations to come up. And so Delete has created shared lending to kind of help fill that gap, to kind of figure out a predictive model of, okay, you have a FICO score, but does this person really, I'm not sure, I've got two people in the same FICO score, they kind of look okay, I don't know. Shared lending says if you also tell them to fill out this profile, you want to correct, jump in here because I think I'm not going to butcher. I'm doing all right? Okay. You fill out one of their profiles, you will be able to then determine between the two of them which one is probably more likely to do it. And they basically do that based off of behavior. For example, what time do you wake up in the morning? Because everybody says early to bed, early to rise makes one healthy, wealthy, and wise, right? So that is someone you probably want to have in your apartment, right? Someone that wakes up early and does things on a particular basis. Well, that's what they've done in this questionnaire. It's an unintrusive questionnaire. They don't look at the FICO score or anything like that. They do it based on behavior. And it's free, yes? It still is free. So this is another thing that you can use to help you improve your business if you are looking to qualify people, especially if you have people who are kind of in the same range and you're not quite sure exactly what to do. Implement this. I'm good? All right. Thank you, sir. I'll send you the check later. So tenant screening. Want to do? Make sure you do income verification. How many people do income verification? Yes? Okay, good. And then you're doing a credit check. Yes? What do you all use it for credit checks?
I use an online service.
What's the service that you use?
It's through Mr. Landlord.
Okay, Mr. Landlord. Got it. He's been around for a while. Yes, ma'am.
No, I give mine to a company that does it.
You give it to a company that does it. Anybody else have an agreement, say, with, say, TransUnion or something like that does it themselves? Okay, cool. I have another service for you. It's not free, but it will help you to do some of these things. Also do a background and criminal check. How many people actually do this? Okay, good. For those who have not raised their hand, is there any particular reason why you don't do a background and criminal check? You're stupid? Okay, you said she actually said that. Okay.
Stupid, that's right.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Okay, that's good feedback. I got something for you. So the next one is making sure that we have uniform screening. We talked about this before, so we don't violate fair housing. We want to make sure that we're doing it the same way each and every time.
Are you taking questions as you go along?
I have to take a question because you guys have been very good about holding your questions to the end. I must be boring all of you. Yes, ma'am.
My question is simply, is it possible and is it legal to figure out a way to screen tenants and determine how well they'll take care of your property? Or whether they're...
Shared lending. Sharedlending.com.
Shared
lending. Again, I have a website that has all the links to everybody that's here. Shared lending is a website that the LEAP has created that if you put this as a part of your screening process for all of your tenants, in addition to you going through and getting your background checks, in addition to you getting the income verification, etc., your credit score, this score that they create, what's the name of the score again?
The core score.
The core score.
Yeah.
The core score in between, it's just like it's from 1 to 100. You remember the 10-point scale when you were in school, you got a 70, you kind of pass, right? You probably want to be in the 80 or higher range. Again, when your tenants or your prospective tenants take this core score exam, it will give them a score between 1 and 100. And so even though the credit score may come back at a 6 or a 500, let's say. That 500 could be for one person because they went through a bankruptcy. That 500 could be to somebody else who just don't pay their bills. There's a difference there, if you will. Okay?
So on sharedlending.com, there are questions that actually reveal how neat or orderly a person might be.
Not exactly like that. Like,
Okay.
we don't ask that question.
No, but I mean, you have ways of getting around it. That's what I'm asking.
So the picture that we want to give you is, will this person be a reliable tenant? So today, City of Rockville's Housing Authority is using us for all their waitlist applications, to the point of using it for all. Anytime they pull off the waitlist, they meet their eligibility criteria. We invite you to take this course score. It's a 37-question course score, completely free. They view it in their dashboard and they see, okay, let's make a decision. Right now, to be fully honest with you, they're using it as an additive. They're not making decisions solely on the basis of it. They're just testing it out to see if it makes sense for them.
Okay, but there are some questions that might reveal whether or not a person is.
That's right. They will be a good tenant for you. So productivity, resilience, health, education, finance, those are our areas.
Is it your questionnaire that's free?
Yes.
I mean, is that,
That's not a question.
is that for a limited time only and it won't be free after?
We don't ask that. We don't ask that question.
Don't ask us a question.
So will it not be free after a certain
If
period
we
of
are
time?
successful in getting out of our current testing phase with the companies that we're working with, then absolutely we want to make a business out of this. But that's the reason why.
Oh,
Do these
okay.
prospective
All
tenants
right.
sign up for the, when they take this little, I guess, checklist or whatever,
There's a data privacy check.
do they take that at the Rockville housing place, or do they sign up for that themselves?
They sign up online.
Yeah,
So,
the population that I'm in this room for
sure.
don't have the capabilities to do that.
Well, you just mentioned to me that everybody has to pay online or apply online.
Well, that's for my higher income tenants. For my lower income tenants, everything is strictly done basically through here.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Housing Choice Voucher Program. You know,
Understood.
in this building.
Understood.
Other than that, the population doesn't have internet.
Sure.
That's what. Is it a mobile app?
It's just a
Well,
website.
here's the interesting thing. You didn't tell us that there were two different tenants and two different ways that you were filtering them. When we talked about your processes before, you mentioned that they did have internet access. Am I correct in saying that?
But what we're saying is, we're in this room. I'm saying this room
Sure.
specifically Housing Choice Voucher Program.
Okay.
So when I'm giving you generalized information.
Okay.
I have two sets of tenants: higher income tenants
Okay.
and lower income tenants.
Sure.
I'm here for lower income tenants.
Understood.
So the population that he's talking about, it sounds all well and good, but they don't have internet.
Okay.
They have cell phones.
All right.
Have
So we can. I mean, there may be some ways. Again, how many people in here like to cook? Y'all I like to eat, so I can cook. How did you learn how to cook, Briscoe?
Firehouse.
Firehouse. How did you learn how to cook, ma'am? Your mom. Who else learned from, like, yes, ma'am? How did you learn how to cook?
Trial and error.
Trial and error, figuring it out. The question is, or the answer is, we all know how to cook. Now, whether or not we can eat each other's cooking is a totally different thing. But everybody has their own ingredients that they like to put into their own food, right? Because some people cook with salt, some people cook without salt, some people are kosher, some people aren't kosher. Again, everything isn't necessarily for everybody. So my intent with the course, or what I'm teaching here, is to make sure that everybody has at least some ingredients, and whatever it is that's your taste that you like to put in, because you watch Mama, and you got her pots probably too. You got what I'm saying? Because like there's a pot down in North Carolina that my grandmother had, that my great-grandmother had, that we use for fish fries. The reason why we like to use that for fish fries is because the pot is seasoned. It's been used so many times that it's seasoned. So it's like the pot is giving you information as well as you put it in whatever you're putting it in. Does that make sense? So it's the same thing with this. Thank you very much for letting us know that you have two sets of tenants that you qualify, but it's the same thing for everybody that's in here. We're just presenting to you some options, some ingredients that you could use into your business. Am I all right with that?
No problem.
Thank you. So income verification. So everybody's getting pay stubs, right? And you're doing it up front, right? Everybody knows the rule of 30%, right? Yes, no? If you don't, go ahead and raise your hand. It's okay. You're amongst friends. Okay. So what you do is you take the gross income, right, and take 1/3 of that, and that's the max rent that person should be able to afford. Yes? Okay. And so you're doing verbal verifications, right? I mean, you're calling the current employer. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, all right. You're letting it. But the reason why I'm saying that is because there's some of us in here who probably are not wanting to respond because we're like, nah, I really didn't do that and I really got jacked up. It's all right. It's all right. It's okay.
Get letters, I guess.
Say again?
Some of my tenants like government hired, so they get like letters. Like
Yeah.
The official letter with the letterhead and the signatures and stuff.
Exactly, and that's a good thing. Let the tenant know you'll be contacting the employer. Co-signers, the same rules apply to those as well, right? Yes? No?
Yes. No.
Okay. Somebody says no? No? Huh?
I was joking with my
Oh. Got it. So, another thing about employment verification, are you doing a verification the day of, before they move in?
No.
Yes, I do.
That's a waste of that's
Okay.
okay. Short. We'll do that after they sign up for the application or something.
Yeah, but then you want to make sure that they didn't lose their job by the time that they move in, right?
Right.
Because you might have an enforceable lease if they sign and they don't have a job. You still have a lease now. So that might be something that you may want to, again, put as a part of your process to maybe call them or call the employer to verify. Let them know that you're going to call them and verify the day of they move in. So here's another website. I think I've given this website before, but if you want to do some rental checks, for credit checks, somebody said I didn't have a service. I got one for you. e-renter.com. Okay? They consolidate a lot of things. I'm going to go through and tell you exactly what they do. So they do credit check, right? The credit required should match the type of rental. Meaning, if they all they have is, well, I'm going to go there. I'm going to leave that alone. Current collections are red flags, yes? Yes, no? Okay, I'm going to just get y'all real quiet. Next is you want to make sure you're questioning prospective renter. I see that you have this on your credit report. Could you explain this to me? Yes? Are we having those conversations? If not,
yeah.
we probably should. Yes, sir.
I had so many questions. I had a guy, long story short, he was offended that I was asking so many questions. And long story short, he ended up sending me an email telling me that, you know, he didn't like that. He thought maybe I was breaking the law or something like that. And then I said, sir, I told him, I said, sir, if you're offended and I'm asking you a lot of questions, maybe this is not the place for you.
Exactly.
You know, that's why I told him.
Exactly.
And then what did he say? Did he go
He
on?
answered the question.
He answered it right because he wanted it right.
He answered the question.
He was trying to just chump you. I mean,
I don't know.
part of it is sometimes in how the renters that we wind up getting into our home is how we present ourselves. If we don't present ourselves as professional and on the spot and doing exactly what you say you're going to do, oftentimes the renters follow. Does that make sense? So if you're cutting corners and you're not being direct, et cetera, then your renters will probably do the exact same thing. So let's talk about it. So eRenter does these services. I don't get paid for this, for telling you about all this, but I'm going to share it with you because I think it's really important. You want to make sure that whatever service that you have goes through the Patriot Act report. Why? What is the Patriot Act report? Someone who may be on the terror watch list? Yes. That's the report. eRenter checks that. You want to make sure that you look at the record of evictions and lawsuits. You want to make sure you search for liens, bankruptcies, and judgments. Why would you want to make sure that you search the death records?
They're impersonating somebody else.
They're not impersonating somebody else because grandma all of a sudden has the need for a rental. What about the criminal search record search? They do that. Also the sex offender registry. And then finally, name and address verification. Because some people have so many different versions of their name and different aliases, you want to make sure that you're dealing with the right person. Okay, eRenter does. Yes, sir.
I would like to ask a question. I have a question with regards to like kids of the potential tenant that are maybe 18 and about to be 19.
Oh.
Can you ask those individuals for, you know?
If I'm not mistaken, anybody over the age of 18, they need to be on the application. Okay? And I've got an addendum here where I basically say, you don't have to, I got the presentation for you. It's online. You can go down.
Yeah, but the question is,
I'm sorry.
That, if, let's say,
if they're over 18.
Let's say if they're over 18 or something, and you want that person to have a background check as well, you make
Yes.
to pay for another application agreement. That's
Generally, what I've seen is
18 or above.
anybody who is 18 or above has to be on the lease, and they also are subject to the fee as well.
I was making sure.
Okay? So here is the website for eRenter. Again, this link is in the notes that I'll provide to you in the website, etc. But as you can see, they have a base tenant screen for $19-20, then one for $30, and then one for $35. I just say just go for it, the $35. And there is a facility here such that you can enter as a landlord your property, and then you can send them a link where they will go and then pay the $35. You don't have to have that done, and all of those things that we mentioned before will be checked. Credit check, criminal check, background checks, all that other stuff. Okay? So, there was a funny story that, but it was a very true story that one of our people down in South Florida, because they live down there, there's Cocaine Highway down there, and so what had happened was somebody was down there cooking up meth, and they didn't really screen the people who were in there, and all of a sudden the police showed up and then put like those grapplers on the side of the wall and ripped the entire wall out so that they can gain access to the property. Now, guess what? They destroyed the property, but guess what? They don't have to replace anything because there was illegal activity going on inside that particular place. And so guess what? You're still responsible for the mortgage and everything else and even replacing that. So you want to make sure that the people that you're screening to put into your property may not have a narcotics conviction, say, within the past 24 months, because otherwise you could have something very similar to happen. Has anybody had a property seized because there was either meth or other things? Because meth will get into the walls and actually cause your property to be condemned. Yes?
They tried to one time before.
They tried?
Yeah, they tried. Like a real property seizure. Remember that? Well, it didn't go down the way they thought it was going to go down.
Got it. Okay. So, but again, if you had not been so proactive, something could have happened to your property. Correct? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Also, be aware of confidentiality. For real estate agents, this is going to be a big one, but also for you too. If you happen to have someone's social security information or whatever, and it happens to get out and whatever, you want to make sure that you're keeping things confidential. You're not leaving records on the front seat of the car or anything like that, because guess what? You would not want your information to be treated that way. So be careful when you're dealing with sensitive information as well, because there may be not liability for negligence. This also may be another reason for having a property management company. You're one step removed from that, and if there's a problem, that's there. How many people like pets? How many people actually have a pet right now, animal? Yeah, wow, no one. I see 2 or 3. It's all right. Y'all can go ahead and raise your hand. Got it.
It's good for you.
How many people actually do a pet interview? Okay, y'all looking at me like Alice in Wonderland. So
Not a pet interview, but I did put in my contract no pets. But I found out later on they had a dog.
Yeah, and you definitely get them right then and there. But one of the things you may want to do if you decided to rent to someone with pets is have a pet interview. And somebody's going to tell you, well, I've got a little small dog, little Fifi, doesn't do anything, whatever. No, I want to see the temperament of Fifi. I want to get references from whoever, where Fifi was before. I want to do a pet interview, and I want to be very specific. The size, the color, the breed of the dog, the description of the dog. Because if the dog is 45 pounds when they move in, they probably will not be a Great Dane of 200 pounds when they leave. You understand what I'm saying? Make sure that you're very specific, and a pet deposit or a pet fee is highly recommended. In some municipalities, yes, ma'am.
I had a tenant who had a doctor to give me a letter saying he should have a pet.
Yes, a service animal. Okay? A service animal is different from a pet. Service animal is to help the individual. For PTSD is often the situation. Also, people who have seizures have service animals as well, and you have to make reasonable accommodations for those. Okay? Yes?
So there's no such thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's no such thing as pet discrimination.
No such thing. No such thing. If we're not dealing with a service animal, that's why you don't have an interview, you know, and look at Fifi.
Is the pet deposit treated like a security deposit?
Good question. And I'm hearing yes, it is. And some municipalities, they call it a pet fee to get away from having a pet deposit, because in the deposit situation, I have to put in an escrow account and have to get that back to you at the end. But a pet fee is you can keep that pet fee for what you're doing.
And can you recover it monthly? Like, in other words, like
yes.
tax or surcharge?
Yes, you can do that as well. And in the documents that I have here, we can walk through that
How about
as
for
well.
housing authority patrons?
Now that one, I'm not sure. Have you seen that? A pet fee
You
and
have a
or
Section
monthly?
8 tenant who has a pet. Can you charge a
Monthly?
additional fee and or monthly payment for that pet?
It can't exceed the gross contract rent. So if you're getting a max for the contract rent, you can't say, I want 2,000 plus $75 a month.
Doesn't cover pets though, does it?
$300.
So again, you have,
$50 every month.
you said 300, what you said?
$300 up front and then $50 every month after that.
Okay. So that's how you structure yours.
I just take a fee up front.
You just take a fee up
Yeah.
front. Okay. Not a deposit, but a fee.
A fee.
Yeah,
Can
a
you do
fee.
Yes, ma'am?
Department of Housing, can you do that for your tenants?
Yes. She says as long as it doesn't exceed the gross rent.
But it has to be in the lease, so it has to be in writing. The housing authority has to know about it. Because the one thing that you don't want to do is include it or let the tenant know that they have to pay it, and then they report to housing, oh, I'm paying this extra $50 fee, and then housing's like, well, you didn't tell us about the pet fee when it's okay for you to charge it.
But if you're charging the full amount of the approved rent for that area,
Then you're not going to be able to do that.
and you got to allow a pet. Well,
So it's
no,
probably better if you, like, just this gentleman here, he charges it up front versus monthly.
Yeah.
Especially if you're getting a max.
Exactly. So here it is. We've got less than 10 minutes to go. I've got a couple more slides to get through. I do want to, again, Brian, wave your hand for us. Brian Dubin from Blue Water Funding. If you are an investor and are interested in doing some additional investing, either to buy houses as rentals or to buy them to fix and flip, as you see a lot of these people are doing in the area, Brian is the money man right there. He might be able to help you to do that. So make sure that you get his card on the way out. Of course, again, you have the leap here in the front with shared lending. Please make sure you talk to him, get his card. If you want to talk a little bit more about that score, please do that. Remember, at 7 o'clock, we must shut down. We must get out of here. So if you could just quickly move outside into the lobby and outside, that way to make it easier for us to transition. Is that all right? Okay, good. So let me walk through a couple more of these things. Let's go ahead and hand those out there. Carissa, I want to, well, I'll take these. Somebody turn the lights back on for us. But there it is. All right.
Do you have any more? It's here.
Should be 30 copies floating around. If you didn't get it, here is the website. This you need to write down.